I feel that life isn't worth living unless I'm somehow doing something for the larger good. And I think there are many, many other people that feel the same way. The people in our community that are valued, particularly among the more traditional people, are not the people who accumulate great personal success or great personal renown for doing something. Those aren't the people that are most respected. The people that are most respected are the people that do for other people, that use their skills and their talents to live in a good way, as they say, or to have a good mind, to try to be a good person. If you try to put that in Christian concepts, a lot of Christians talk about going to church and being involved in church, and what they're trying to do is become Christ-like. Well, in some ways it's similar. What in Cherokee traditional thought, what people are trying to do is be the best person that they can, to have a good mind, to look at other people and focus on their positive attributes rather than their negative attributes, to find themselves in a situation and try to find however terrible the situation, something positive about that. And those are not just words. I have survived cancer and 2 kidney transplants, and I'm one of the most positive people I know because I have that in my background, because I have that concept in my background. I think that I learned valuable lessons from those experiences that very few other people that I know my age have been able to experience. To focus on the positive. I could focus on all the negative aspects of those experiences. And what I've been taught is not to do that, to focus on the positive aspects. And I think that's not just an Iroquois and Cherokee concept. Otherwise, how would these cultures have survived in these other tribes? People had to focus on the positive just to keep one foot in front of the other foot and keep moving when all these terrible things happen to the various tribes. Our story, the story of the Cherokees and the Trail of Tears, is the specific details are unique, but each tribe has a similar story, and a story of upheaval and disruption and attempts to break up the tribe. It hasn't worked, I can tell you. It has not worked. You can go to the most troubled tribal community in North America and find that if you look there long enough and talk to the right people, find a lot of very positive things in those communities, and more importantly, find an absolute commitment to maintaining the culture. And so I think that with my time now, post Cherokee politics and all that, that's the message I want to give to our people and to the community at large, is that let's while we're doing all the other things that are important, producing PhDs and jobs and fighting for the rights of tribes and all those kinds of things, let's remember what the fight's about and continue to move forward. Finally, I just wanted to say, because there's another question I'm always asked, is what do I think are the things that are the most important things to bring to a leadership role? And I have to tell you that I think one of them is to be forward-thinking. I think that it's very, very important people don't want to listen to people who, and I can't tell you how many people I've heard get up and run through every litany of every problem we've had since the beginning of time with no solutions or no hope for any solutions. I think that people want from leadership a sense of hope, a sense that things can get better. And people at home used to always say that I was a cheerleader. And that's one of the reasons that I was able to win 3 elections, is because I was always, cheering people on. But I think that part of leadership is to be a cheerleader, is to help people believe that things are possible, and then to actually produce those things. I think that what I call being of good mind, being able to always be positive and be forward-thinking, is a very, very important attribute of leadership. I've seen very few effective leaders who weren't positive and who weren't forward-thinking. Positive people, when they're in a tough situation, tend to look for some positive resolution of a problem, some way out. positive people look at barriers as challenges, and rather than as an excuse to stop and say, I can't do that because of the fact that we don't have any funding, or I can't do that because of the fact that we don't have enough Native students, so we can't fund this position or whatever. I think that positive people see the barriers as challenges, and if they can't go over the barrier or around it or under it, they'll figure out some way to get past the barrier. And I think it's a very, very important attribute. The other thing I think that's very, very important with leadership, an attribute of leadership, is for people to stay focused, or to use a male term, to keep your eye on the ball. Whatever it is that's your singular goal, to stay focused on that no matter what else is going on around you. And in politics, it's very hard to do because you're always being attacked from different sides for the things that you're not doing, or whatever. People disagree with you on some issue, or they just don't like the way you look, or whatever. But there are always these diversions going on. And I think that, for example, when I came into office, I was in office for 12 years total, I promised the people in 2 communities that we would build clinics in their communities, because what they said to me was that they wanted services closer to home. And so I stayed focused on that absolute goal. It took me 10 years to build those clinics, but they were built and we dedicated them before I left. One was a $9 million clinic and one was a $7 million clinic. Nothing ever caused me to move from those singular goals. So I think focus is a very, very important attribute. And finally, I think that looking at things in an interconnected way, which may be a uniquely Native American way of looking at things, I'm not sure. But I know that when I interact with leaders in the larger community, and I joined a board with one of the world's premier leadership groups at the University of Maryland, Baltimore. The group is led by Bill Bradley. The chairman of the board of the New York Times is on it. The guy who directs ER is on it. These are world-class leaders. But these world-class leaders, I would put some tribal people up against these people any day of the week, because the tribal people, by and large, tend to look at things in a more interconnected way. And I hate to make generalizations because it tends to, group everybody together, but I'm going to make this one. I've made the one about the commonality among tribes having a sense of interdependence and community. I'm going to make another one and say that by and large, tribes see things in a more interconnected way. And let me give you an example of that. Many city planners and leaders who want to do economic development and develop the economy of a community think you do that simply by building businesses, and that they think that they're developing the economy by building businesses. You talk to tribal people, and how they build an economy is that they make sure that the people are in good health. So they build health facilities. They make sure that there's a place for when women, we have a lot of single parents, go to work, there's a place to leave the children. So they build daycare centers. People have to live in decent housing, and so they build houses. And so that if you ask a tribal leader, or if you would have asked me when I was in office what I was doing about economic development, I would tell you we're vastly expanding an array of services for children, which we did. And or we're building, as the gentleman who introduced me talked about, infrastructure, basic water systems. We're doing training of people. We're sending people to college. All those things have to do with economic development. It's not just about building businesses. And I've certainly heard more tribal people look at it in that particular way than I have non-tribal people, no matter how great a leader they are in their particular field. It's a more interconnected way of looking at things.